there's a lot of violation going on. I'm kind of digging watching England over there, man. People are starting to like step into their sovereignty. Like,
well, it's very interesting to watch what's going on at the moment.
it is
maybe,
interesting.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's give people time to come in. They're just starting to roll in now. I'm gonna test something and see how this works. Let's see. Let's try this again. I don't think they can see it.
No, I don't think it's live yet. I'm waiting.
Oh no, we're live. No, I was
we?
we're live.
Oh.
I was testing the chat, trying to put it on the overlay, but
I see.
it's not working.
Oh yeah, there we go.
It's little M. It's not working. I'm in trouble. If that's going to be the case.
It sounds like we're going to have one of those conversations. It's Christmas Day. Aren't we supposed to be like holy on Christmas?
I guess so. Let me find something a little bit different. I have a bunch of material because I've been putting some remixes up, which gives me the opportunity to put some channel feed together. I've got you on it. Here's a nice one to lighten this up a little bit from our friend Heather Grace Powers. Wait, here we go.
Do boop boo, do boop boo. May you find peace while you eat your turkey. May you find joy now with your family. Boop boo, boop 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 boo, boop 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 boo, boop boop boo.
Isn't she beautiful? Yeah. So, yeah, that was our intro for today. Thank you, Heather Grace Powers. So we had a day off yesterday. And then we have the incomparable, indomitable Dr. Joseph Lightheart Ho Delaney with us on Christmas Day, then 2 days off. So somebody's calling me handsome. I know they're not talking about you.
That's Anita. That she needs help. She should go to the opticians immediately.
Yeah.
George, you must be picking up our soul's vibrations.
That's what it is. That's
Yes.
what it is.
It's all about our souls.
I know, man. I have to get past this attachment to the body since I'm such a fit 59-year-old. I was watching this really interesting series we watched. It's a 6-part series. I can't remember what it's called. It's with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. And I haven't spent a lot of time watching TV over the last few years, but these new, in fact, this TV that we have is like the first one I've had in 10 years. And it's not even the highest grade one. I think it's HD. So I know there's some that are much, because I've seen them at my friend's house. It's like you can see every detail. You can see like a pimple on the elephant's ass. Oh, The Undoing is what it was called. Morgan just said. But anyway, Hugh Grant, I knew he was about my age, and I'm looking at him because you can see him. You can actually see their faces, much clearer. And I'm thinking, man, do I look that rough? Because he's like a year older than me. Of course, I don't know what your secret is. You look like, you're 10 years younger than me. Must be all that.
Well, I'm going through what's called a re-youthing program.
Re-youthing?
Yes, it's rejuvenation, and it's brought about by practicing the principles of telling the truth. And sometimes telling the truth can get you into trouble. And what I mean is just expressing how you feel and how you think. That can sometimes upset people for some reason, but I don't do it on purpose to cause trouble. But you know what, Todd? Sometimes I just open my mouth and trouble follows me. What can you do?
I know. Gaia Hart, that's Shanine, right?
It is.
She says she's eating cheese and biscuits. Please do not ruin it. She must be talking. She must be talking to you. I haven't seen Angela Dwellmore. What's that?
She's talking in code, right?
What does that mean?
And basically, she's talking with a mouthful of gorgonzola cheese. That's all I can say, because she's used to saying eating cheesy things. I would say.
Man, you British and Australians, man, with the cheese thing. All I ever knew was the Mexican cheese and cheddar cheese, and maybe Swiss cheese. Morgan's turned me on to some really good cheese. Camberley cheese?
Camembert. Is it Camembert?
Camembert cheese, yeah.
Camembert.
And then Dutch Gouda, smoked Dutch Gouda. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's I think variety is the spice of life. What do you think, Todd, old chap? Because I get bored. I get bored very easily. Right?
I have a monogamous mentality when it comes.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah. I think variety in terms of like, life experience, but once you've been around a little bit, you've seen it all, you know what I mean?
Right.
When you appreciate the simple things.
I agree.
We're not going to have this soft shoe, high level, intelligent conversation. I know that.
Well, I think that it may develop into that.
It could
because I think that the world's in such a strange position at the moment.
Talk to me.
That I think that maybe we need to dig deeper, to discern deeper, to see what the truth is about what's really going on in this huge sort of display at the moment. It's like watching the greatest show on earth, I think.
Yeah.
And I think if you can stay detached from it, because the way I see it, Todd, is what you see out there is coming from the past, isn't it? It's a projection from past consciousness that's out on the screen. And I think to go up and try and change the screen and arrange the lights and the players has missed the point totally. I think you've got to get back into the projector room and sort out what's going on in there. That's my feeling. So where I'm up to is I'm seeing all this playing out, and I think that we're all responsible. This is just my feeling, I just think that we're all responsible for creating this so-called catastrophe that's going on, and that we can only change it from within to be projected outwards into the future. Yeah. God, that was deep. You see how we brought it into a deep conversation already.
Well, it's interesting you say that because test. What the hell's wrong with this thing? I told you it's cold and it's getting smaller.
Yeah. Do you mean testing?
Test, please. Somebody get a stethoscope. Get one of those things they put on your chest when your heart fails.
Oh yeah.
Blast it. No, it's interesting because I was last night I was watching David Icke. I've watched him for a long time. He's coming on next month. I'm not going to release the date till 2 days before the show. It's in the first part of the month. Anyway, so I was just kind of bouncing around YouTube and trying to pick up on things, looking at different platforms, getting ideas. And I came across this new video. There's a couple of channels that are putting his stuff out like in excerpts. And I'd never seen this particular conversation, but it's what you're talking about. So he was talking about, and I saved it because I want to go back and watch it because I kind of skimmed through it. But he was saying how that, what consciousness is perception. And that, this was a conversation where he was talking about there is no I, and basically what he was talking about was how the information gets fed into the brain and then the brain projects the seemingly reality, right? And so he was basically talking about the same thing. Who's controlling that information that's gone into our brains all this time? And I was kind of intrigued by it because I thought, oh, this is a pretty good conversation to have when he comes on. Like, what do we do now? You know what I mean? Kind of like what you're talking about. Like, what are the nuts and bolts of controlling this experience, and how quickly and effectively can it be done? And I think, what my feeling was when I was watching, I thought, well, this is where we're at. Like, we're past the fear now. I even wrote a little rap last night. We're past the fear now. Like we're past the fear programming. We get it. And even all this distortion that you were talking about that's obviously all over the place with the election and with the COVID and the quarantines and vaccines and all that. even with that distortion, the distortion is actually making the polarity of it, which is the true reality, which is what we're talking about. It's actually making it more accessible because you can see there is no other choice, because the other choice is just getting ridiculous, you know, like you were talking about before the show. Yeah, so I think that's a good conversation. So how do we get to the projector, the projection room?
It's simple. It's simple. You talked about keeping things simple. It's through mindfulness and meditation and relaxation, because I think that Sigmund Freud, he used to lay his patients on a bed, because then a lot of the protective barriers to getting into the unconscious were relaxed, you see. So when person's lying down, gravity is not so affecting on them, right? And so therefore their unconscious then started to release stuff from the depths, you know. And I think that that's what we need to do is, and this is just my feeling, it could be completely wrong, like I always say, don't believe a single word I say unless it sits true for you. If it rings true, then maybe something else. But, you know, my feeling is now that the more that we relax, the more that we allow our breath to breathe us, so that's our natural breathing mechanism to take over, I think what happens is it's almost like a lid comes off the unconscious and bubbles of repressed memories start to emerge. Now, it's what we do next, Todd, you see, because all that repressed material is basically repressed to defend us. And it was repressed to defend us as basically emotional children, sensitive, emotional children. And I really feel now that this ascension is, in a simple way, it's all about growing up by growing through disturbed feelings, but not by jumping in and trying to fix them, but it's almost like sitting in the audience of our own play and watching the play unfold. I saw Jason and the Argonauts was on today. I love that because it's from the 60s when I was a kid. You know?
I remember that show. I love that show.
It really, really sort of impacted on me, because basically it's about every man and every woman's journey, isn't it? You know, so it's through all the different archetypes and everything that I feel that every human being, both male and female, has to go through towards what Maslow called, there's a bit of psychology coming up now, Maslow called it the journey towards self-actualization. And I think that that's what's growing up now. We're sort of growing up and being more responsible, but not losing our childlike awe of the whole world, you know. And I think if we look out there and see the world in chaos, right, and grab onto it, then I think that we've missed the point, because I think that what's happening out there is a release of all this stuff that's coming to the fore, to be looked at, to be reflected upon, and to be breathed away, so that new light can come through and sort of, good God almighty, this is like a Christmas Day talk, this. So it's back over to you, Randy.
Randy?
You thought I was going to let you get away with that, Randall, didn't you?
Fuck off. I always had that name. You always know when you're in trouble as a kid when they say your middle name with your first name. So,
but the Randy makes sense. The Randy makes sense, you see, because that can represent that middle bit, the unconscious
now,
side.
Randy, I can see. Randy would be more appropriate.
Okay.
So like you're talking about with the Freud, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do we get to the projector? And then you were started out with talking about Freud and how he had more accessibility to the client's subconscious if he laid him on the bed. And so I was thinking, okay, well, maybe that's part of, because I know, like with Morgan and other practitioners, they talk about how they open up their field and then they ask the client to open up their field to their highest level of comfort. And then there's a field created. And in that field is where all the magic is found, right? So I wonder if there's going to be, or if there's going to be methods like open methods of getting into our highest. I mean, you could say this a couple of ways. Our highest level of vulnerability / our most open energetic mind, kind of thing. Kind of like what I just said about with, like Morgan and other practitioners. Maybe that's what we've been doing, like with shows like this and just open dialogue and open expressions. I'm putting these channel feeds together, and I'm going on my friends list, and I'm looking at their original videos, and I'm finding all these gems, right? These incredible spirit walks and these artistic expressions and on a personal level, do I resonate with all of it? But I can see how this would appeal to an audience, like where you could flip on a channel and you're just going from groove to groove to groove to groove, and it's all pure soul. And I think, to me, that's what you're talking about. Is just being. I think Susan Amara just said it a minute ago, being yourself. All the way around.
I agree. And when you say jump from groove to groove, really though, it's a continuous groove, isn't it? It's just placing the stylus at a particular location on the record, which will bring up a different vibration. And you mentioned something. I'm working on something, or it's being shown to me, called Chromato-optogenetics.
Is that a sandwich?
Well, only if you put cheese on it, right? But
Camberley.
Camembert and Gouda, right?
Gouda. No, so what's it called? Chromo what?
Camembert.
No. What's the thing?
Sorry. Chromato-optogenetics. Right.
Chromato.
Yeah, and I'm being guided and inspired to find out more and more about this, because it's a Tesla thing, really. It's all about frequency. It's all about vibration. It's all about light. He said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. And I've been tuned into vibrations for a long time now. In fact, it's part of what I do for a living. But I got this phrase, call it Chromato-optogenetics, and because I say to myself, whoever this is who's providing me with this information, to say, what do you mean by that? You'll have to give it me clearer. And he said, Joe, look at the word chromatic. And I thought, well, that's to do with color, isn't it? That's right, son. Well done. So chromatic is to do with color, but there's also a chromatic scale on the piano, isn't there, Joe? Right. And how many notes are there? Well, there's 12. Right, and then it goes off into all the 12 dimensions then, with the conductor or the master or the Christ at number 13 in the middle, right? And to me, this is what I get fed all, wake up with all this in the morning, think, oh God, there we go again. So we've got this is all about ascension to self-mastery. And chromatic, Todd, go on, what?
No, I was going to say, this is impressive. I was just going to say that you said this is how you wake up in the morning. Yeah. I guess since...
Well, I had to. Okay, stay steady on, Randy. Steady on now. You're obsessed. You need to lie down with someone other than Freud.
It is impressive. This is the information. This is impressive. I'm telling you. So the chromo, chromatic,
chromato, yeah. Chromato is color and light.
And so, tell me about the 13th. Now, you said there was 12.
Yeah, I get 13. I get fed with this. The 13 is the Christ center. It's the heart.
Okay.
And the heart is attached then to the 12 cranial nerves, right, which basically operate the way that the face moves. So the way you hold your face determines the mood you're in. Well, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And when the wind changes, so if you hold your face in a certain way by cultivating an inner smile, that basically opens up a heartful feeling, which allows the flow to come through of intuitive energy, which will feed your intelligence rather than your intellect, because intellect is learned and memorized and needs to be discarded completely in order for the heart to open, for the soul to send the information in. So it's in relaxation. I'll keep going here because it seems to be good. Yeah. It's in relaxation that the gates of the heart open and the soul then sends inspiring and intelligent information through to be acted upon. So this is acting on information received, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. Here's the big thing though, Todd. We have to let go of our need to know completely and trust the feeling that's emerging from the depth to guide us and to navigate us through this seeming chaos that's going on. There we are, mate. Over to you. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Oh, you said something there. I'm trying to go back to it. You said something. I had a great comeback for it, and I can't remember what it is. I'm still, I'm amazed that you wake up with this in the morning, and I guess you lose one thing stopped working, and another thing started working. Right? Is that what happened?
Well, no. Funnily enough, Todd. Right, when you do this properly, you expand in all sorts of ways, Todd. If you do it correctly, right? Because the energy flows through all stem cells in the rejuvenation process. You see, I'm going back now. I'm coming up to 66, Todd, but I'm actually going back towards being the 33-year-old Todd, and it's getting me into all sorts of trouble. So there you are.
Really, and then the other thing too about the I didn't know that about the facial, the cranial. What did you say? The cranial
Nerves.
Yeah, and because I remember reading a book a few years ago, which stuck out with me, that it takes like 79 muscles to frown and like 19 muscles in your face to smile, right? Or to have a kind of illuminated, whatever you call it, countenance.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I'm also seeing as well is that the more that you go on this journey and open up, there's something called bioluminescence comes in. Now, this is it's very interesting, this, because you sort of light up from the inside. People can sort of detect a lightness. So this is not only about light, but it's also about feeling light as well. In the depths of this 3D density that we're in, I think part of enlightenment means that as your heart opens, it's almost like a levitation type feeling that lifts you up. So this would be an uplift from spirit as the heart opens more and more. And that's what I say, so things like Qigong and Tai Chi and yoga are all designed to realign things like muscles, fibers, and also your internal organs with your muscle system so that the energy starts to uplift you and make you feel lighter, make you feel happier, and make you feel more joyful. How do you know that you've made the right choice? Because you feel lighter, you feel more open, and you feel much stronger in yourself because there's much more spirit energy or flowing through us, chi or prana or the spirit, Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. And then I guess at some point you start to expand too, right? Parts of you start to. So that's a gift. That's a nice little kicker on that.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know why you're.
You need help. I think you need help.
No,
I
I
haven't seen you smiling this much for ages. I've been a bit concerned.
I'm laughing so much. I'm crying. I got, I'm like, purging over here. So no, this is timely though. It's timely because, well, okay. So we were talking about before the show. You said, there's a whole lot going on, and then you said, it's just a time to just like take it easy, man. Right? Because I remember going into November, and I was telling you this before the show. I said I haven't had this light of a month in probably 4 years. I can't remember. I know there was times I was traveling and I couldn't, but broadcast every day. But it just hasn't. I don't know. Today's the 25th. I've probably done maybe 30 shows. Right? Maybe. I'd say probably 25 shows. And so, but and I told Morgan, I said, we don't have much scheduled. And she said, I just think December is going to be about just chilling out and integrating and just being quiet. And she was right. Not just for me, not just for her or you, but I mean, everybody. I'm noticing everybody has gone into, like ninja mode. You can't even detect them out there. And I think that's now it's getting to the point now, I'm starting to feel it the last couple of days. I stayed up until 7:30 this morning working and having a blast, being creative. Slept about 3.5 hours and I'm back up. There's something building, there's something coming. And I think this, what you were talking about, and what I brought up at the first of the show in regard to the David Icke video last night, I think this is what we're getting to. And I think, we now this is just my own early take on it for Todd. I'm not saying it applies to everybody else, but where we used to like get prepared to initiate something or launch something or create something or build something, we would go, or I would go into this, old 3D, masculine mode, like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And this is what we got to do. But I think what I'm feeling is that for myself is that it's not like that. It's more like the energetics of it. I can find in the description of what you were talking about in terms of the relaxation, how that eventually is evidenced in the face, the naturalness. The jaw is relaxed. I mean, I feel it more like an energy. I can't really explain it like you can, but I kind of was dipping into it last night or this morning, which was, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to force anything. It's like going on a scavenger hunt, right?
Yeah.
Except you don't have a list, right? And so I was just like foraging through the energetic forest and the energetic Akashic and MP4 archives of my friends and just all these different things, and just finding all these pieces of fruit and putting them in my basket, So that's what I feel. I feel like it's all related, and I'm really happy to be talking to you about it because you bring it into the body, which I think is a huge part of what we're going to be integrating, and which is going to be key to the way we create.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's a massive, massive shift in consciousness taking place. And there may be unscrupulous authorities using nefarious means to try and induce fear and cause people to feel tense and contracted, because that's what happens. And in tension and contraction, that's the opposite of relaxation. Tension and contraction is brought about by a perceived threat. And when we perceive a threat, we automatically go into the defensive mode. And in that mode, our consciousness closes down and we can't be creative. The only bit of creativity we've got is we fall back onto our very childlike coping strategies, and we can't think out of the box then. So if anybody wanted you to not be creative and think for new, they would create all sorts of fear. Now, Todd, this is so important, and this is what I learned for me. Nobody did this to me without my permission at some level, because I am 100% responsible at all levels for what I attract to me, because that to me is all part of the universal soul's progress, right? And even the soul has got a program, because otherwise we'd all be exactly the same, right? And we wouldn't have different purposes to fulfill. I mean, this is where I'm up to at the moment. So even the soul, the only undifferentiated bit is unconditional love. That is spirit itself, source, the creative flow and all that. After that, there's purpose driven into all different layers of who we really are. This is this multi-dimensional quantum consciousness. And I think that the answer lies in a much more refined and trusting let go totally, because when we let go totally, then the information starts to emerge from the depths, or if you like, from the heights. Some people say higher. I feel it's deeper myself. For me, that's the way I feel it. And the more I relax and say, look, I don't know what's going on here. So that's my human ego talking. I don't know what's going on here. Will you show me, please? Will you show me? And then, Todd, I have to wait then. Right, I don't mean wait and just sit there for an answer. I mean, I have to put that on the back burner and get on with my day. And more often than not, a globule of inspiration pops up that says, turn left now. Very, very simply. right? When my ego's saying, oh, I've got to do this, and then some more refined part, a more gentle steering happens to say, just turn left, look over there now. And that's when all these synchronicities come in, 11, 11, 12, 12, and all that, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know all that was going to come out, mate, but that's how do you feel
No,
about that?
you brought up, and I was going to go back to this comment because that was good. This is great. I'm loving it. There's a reason we're only having one show this 4-day period, and it's with you. So, because you brought up the thing about the child, both the coping mechanisms of a child, and also the pure abandon, of a child. So, and you were talking about growing up earlier. So Morgan's comment here was growing up is healing the inner child and inner teenager, so the adult can be in his or her innocence of pure love. So this is our true ascension back to our innocence, no unconscious duality. And so I think that fits because this is what I'm talking about. Just like you just said, I don't have to know everything. I don't know everything. There's this spot, there's this energetic place that is like it's like a ripe piece of fruit, man. I mean, it's something new, like something that just got birthed, a golden child. I don't know, what do you want to call it? And this is what I was talking about earlier, and this is one of the things I want to talk to David Icke about is, like, what do we do now? What does that look like? How do we do that? Do I need to do this breathing exercise? Do I need to do yoga? Do I need to do Tai Chi? I think what I'm looking for has if it has physical movement, it's more of a repercussion of what I'm trying to find. And what I'm trying to find is a relaxed state. It's pure creativity. It's a consistent flow, like a mainline connection with infinite intelligence that is somehow absolutely balanced with Todd Medina in this incarnation. And it's this place of a pure decisiveness, to where if I step away from the creative aspect for a second and say, contend with what's being presented in the distorted field of our seemingly real experience, that there's some way I can decisively say no to anything, no matter how physical it is, from this energetic supercomputer that I am. And what I'm talking about, for instance, is like, like say there's troops on the street and they have checkpoints, or they have this law or this rule or this, they want me to get a vaccine or whatever these things are. There's something inside of me telling me that I can make this change right here, even though there's a physical aspect to the energy that's presenting itself. And I don't know what that looks like. Does that mean that I will not, put myself in the system, that I won't get a stimulus check, or that I won't get, a vaccine because, whatever it is, at some point, like I won't take out a loan, I won't participate in the debt system, I won't, I'll renounce my citizenship, or whatever that looks like. I don't know, but I know it starts right here. Like, that's what I feel for myself anyway.
See where I'm at is that I don't know what choice I'll make tomorrow. And it may be exactly the opposite choice that I'm making today. And therefore, I can't say that I won't have a vaccination. I can't say I won't do this. I can't say. I have to be guided in the moment from the flow of my heart, right? And to me, nobody can tell me what to do. They can make suggestions, but in the end, if it doesn't sit right in my heart, then I won't take it. I listen to everybody, Todd. I listen to everybody because I'd be foolish not to, because sometimes gems come in and go, hey, Arjo, pay attention to that. But most of the time now, I have to discern it by a feeling that I've got deep in my heart. And I think that that's my soul. I call that the heart of hearts, the source of unconditional love. So I don't know what action to take. I have to trust, totally surrender to the movement of the spirit that guides the next breath, the next choice, because, Todd, it hasn't failed me. It hasn't failed me. There's been lots and lots of circumstances that have been bloody uncomfortable in the 30 years since I haven't had a drink and I've been following this path, right? There's been lots of circumstances where my head said, what the flipping heck is going on here? Because that's my ego being threatened. And I just kept getting, Joe, it's covered. Just trust us. And when it says us, I believe that that's all these 12 streams of consciousness working together for the benefit and the protection and the guidance of this golden child that's coming up to take mastery. And I think that's what Christmas is all about. It's all about the golden child, which is the Christ. Yeah, I'm getting the thing up my spine talking about it now. It's the child playing out, right? That's got all the answers anyway, but he just wants to play out. I want to give a big shout out for a very sort of in the background type person here. His name was Joseph, right? And he had a lot to contend with, didn't he? You know, of the Jesus, Mary and Joseph, you know. Because, you know, just imagine when Mary says, hey, Joseph, I'm like with child, you know. Just imagine that then. With child? How come that's happened? Where have you been? What's been going on, you know? No, don't you remember when you came in on the lash when you were drunk? You must have been in a blackout. Right. And then as Jesus was growing up, like, where is he now? He's down the temple again with all them owl fellas, you know. So he had a lot to contend with, poor old Joseph the worker, you know. And I was born, the reason I'm called Joseph is I was born on March the 19th, which is the last day of spring, actually, right? But it's March the 19th. It's the feast day of Saint Joseph the worker. Right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Thank Christ it wasn't Saint Teresa's Day or something like that, because what they used to do is in the vicinity where I grew up, they used to open the prayer book and see whose saint's day was it, and mine was the feast of Saint Joseph, you see. So that's why I'm called Joseph. Joseph Peter Aloysius Delaney, you know. But
Aloysius.
Yeah.
Is that a name? Aloysius.
No, that's my confirmation name. I chose that one
Aloysius.
because yeah. I was sitting in church, Todd. I can remember it. It was before I was 7 years of age. And they said to me, you've got to pick a confirmation name. And I looked at the stained glass window in the church, and this almost jumped out at me. And it was a saint holding a skull, right, called, Saint Aloysius. And I said, I want to be that one there, right. And then I found out about Aloysius, and he was a medic, he was a healer, and all those sorts of things. So it's almost as if all these things were planned out by the soul's program. And it's taken all this time for my ego to accept this and fall in line with it. So what's going on at the moment is, if we can only, no, I'll say we, if I can only keep me head out of the way and just fall in line with the energy that's trying to realign my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies and bring them to balance and coherence, then all will be well. And I think that my job is to grow in understanding and effectiveness of carrying the message. And what's the message? The message is what you're looking for is in here. Don't be looking out there to those experts. What you're looking for is under your nose with a K, you know, under your knowledge. It's deeper than that. It's past memory. It's in your soul. And you've been looking out there all the time when all you need to do is do that there like that and say, I don't really know what's going on. Can you please help me?
You know, I don't normally listen to anybody other than Morgan. But, you know, so we've been feeling some stuff in our body. She mostly has. I've had it off and on, but I think it was yesterday morning I was doing that. Like my body was like, I had to lay down, man. I was just like, my heart was beating, you know, it was beating pretty fast. My blood was rushing in my body, but I did that. I put my hand on my heart. I do that sometimes, actually. I do listen to you. I've used that breathing exercise a few times when I go into like a quiet state. So this thing with Joseph, and then I wanted to say something real quick on not the vaccines as a singular issue, but what we were talking about, the energetics of it. I totally get what you're saying about, and I think Susan said it a minute ago, choice, don't make choice wrong. It's all about choice, right? And we all have sovereignty and sovereignty allows us or gives us or grants us choice, and we're in a 100% free will realm, which makes it even more impactful. So, yeah, I think, and what's good for you is good for you, and what's good for me is good for me. So, I think that's a really important point that you made. There's nothing wrong with the choice, right? It's my choice, it's your choice, and it's my journey, and it's your journey. So I think that's important for me. Where I go back to what I was trying to describe earlier, this place where this new Todd or this new human or this golden child triad, whatever is forming and starting to function, is I would, if you use vaccine as an example, I have less fear of what's in a vaccine and what it would do supposedly purportedly in my body than I have more of a fear of saying yes to something that doesn't sit well with me. And what I mean by that is that if I take something on or don't take something on, and I have a certain belief system in place, that at this time in the space that we're in and at this stage of the game, that energetic template that I just formed is more powerful than anything that can be done to me physically. So that's just where I'm at with that. It's just I'm very conscious of I'm trying to be more and more conscious of the things that I say because they create the things I believe, which creates what I'm experiencing. So I'm very careful. I'm more and more careful every day by what I say, and I'm happy about that. Um, and then the other thing is um, in regard to Joseph, and there's no coincidences. I often forget about this. When I first reawoke, it was six ascendants: Jesus, Mary, and Archangel Michael, and three spirit guides. Right, so there was 12 players, but there was Joseph, and I actually have a book, part of a book, um, on a flash drive somewhere in my briefcase, and it's called the Chronicles of Joseph. So there was a period where, and when I was a little kid, I was in a Christmas play in the fourth grade, and I was Joseph, and it was in Spanish, and they picked all the Mexican kids in the school. There's only like 5 families, and they put them all in the Spanish play because they've been teaching the Spanish, which was spoken in, you would think, in every one of these Mexican American homes, but mine. And I had such in other words, I sounded like very white. Everyone else sounded with the accent, and I was speaking like, me llamo Jose El Carpintero. I mean, I was really bad, but I connected with Joseph at that age somehow, whatever, and it came back. And so I had this whole series of dimensional experiences with him 8, 9 years ago. And through that, he had presented 44 scrolls. And the story was that he was a master and that it was not publicized. Now, I'm just giving you my experience and my truth. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I respect the energy of it. And so it was really cool because these scrolls were passed down from his father and his father's father. And so it was all this entanglement, this beautiful entanglement with Jesus and these other players at that time. But he was carrying the sacred wisdom. And I know it was all metaphoric, but I mean, he was carrying this. And so I think I got through like 8 or maybe 12 scrolls, where, I went into dimension. He showed me the different things, and they were virtues of the soul. They were about courage, and they were about wisdom and true wisdom. They were about open-mindedness, forgiveness. So he's a very important consciousness in my opinion. And thank you for bringing them up.
No, well, as we're talking about it, I can feel it here. I feel things here, and I sort of, most of the time now, I don't question what's going on. I just get a feeling. It's like my wife and I, we got a call, right? We just got a call. You go into Glastonbury on the 21st of December. And I was thinking, how the hell am I going to organise that? And I get, don't worry, it's sorted. And then everything fell into place. We went down, we met Amanda, Amanda Lawrence and some people. And we did this. Yeah, we did the torch bearing thing, Glastonbury tour and stuff like this. And we did Anchor in the Light, and people say to me, well, what does it all mean? I've got no idea. Right, Todd, this is my life. People think because I'm into this stuff that I've got some real understanding of what's going on. And to be honest with you, I just go along with it, right? Because I can feel that I have to. It's sort of part of my job, So there was I, with me missus. I'm going up the hill, and it was great. Loved every single minute of it. Felt all these feelings. I met Amanda. There was all sorts of energies, things going on there and all that, Where's it going to lead us, Todd? I've got no idea, but I'm just going along with it. I know that in some sort of a way I'm being used by the Holy Spirit. I'm going to say that, the Holy Spirit, because I see that the Holy Spirit, to me, holy means whole. It means holistic. It means when all your bits and pieces, like Humpty Dumpty, are put back together again. Not by the king's horses and all the king's men, because they couldn't put Humpty back together again. It was the Holy Spirit that needed to come in, right, and sort of reconnect all the fragments that have been sort of disbanded over eons of time for various reasons. And I feel that that's happening now. There's gross, subtle, causal, and non-dual. That's like a sort of an evolution through these different sort of fragments and dimensions of what it is to be human. And these are all the things that come in, and I'm like, whoa, hang on a second, hang on. What does all this mean, And so I have to sort of take a step back, allow bits to come in, And to go back to Chromato-optogenetics, I really feel that that's going to be a cleansing energy, almost like a ray gun of using music and using sound and using light and various frequencies to keep the way clear, so that the real light can come through and reignite our soul's purpose. But I think that it can be used in an unscrupulous way, right, to actually block the soul from emerging and shining through. Because I think what's actually happened is the ego in its fear has closed down and caused a sort of a shadow husk-like thing that's almost like obstructed the soul from shining through. Because I think that's where the answer for humanity is. If we can get out of the way and use sound and light and music and play and dance and all that stuff, if we can do that, that will then allow us to discard this stuff from the past and allow us to fulfill our true purpose here on planet Earth. Good grief.
That's
what
good
do you
stuff,
think about
man.
that? What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, so I've been putting these slowly putting these channel feeds together with these humongous archives that I have, and as well as downloading other people's. And so I was looking at, I found an old folder with early Soulogy One Studio videos. So this would be like 2015 into early 2016. And so what I used to do back then, because that's what I was told, like you said, you just get out of the way and then you're told, turn on some music and start talking. Like, that's how it started. But I hadn't listened to any in years. And so what I would do is I would turn on the song, and this was all just spontaneous, improvisational. And then I would correlate music, the energy of music and the, and the vehicle of music into a spiritual message, And so I even did one that was called Soulogy's Sunday Sermon or something like that. It was an early YouTube thing I did. And it was a kind of a dissertation on how music is open and how music continues to expand, and how our spiritual practices, and again, this is 8-9 years ago, our spiritual patterns, behaviors, templates were constricting to each other, And so I always looked at it like, okay, wow, I love the blues. You got a Muddy Waters, or a Howlin' Wolf, and then some DJ finds a beat and he mixes in the Howlin' Wolf or the Muddy Waters vocal or guitar, or harmonica, or all the above, and he makes this fantastic remix. And I always saw it that way. I saw it where we're remixing, and I say I saw it. I saw it as I was shown it for all of us. I mean, it's not about me. That you take the Jesus message, the Kuan Yin message, Ye Man Ja, Buddha. I mean, all of these consciousnesses, and we're remixing them. They are the fodder for the fire, man. I mean, they are like the raw material in our experience here, which if I look back at myself 8-9 years ago, I was taking a fucking beating, even while I'm expanding, I'm taking a beating, but now I have so much reverence, for everything. And we've talked about this, like incarceration, humiliation, these things that I experienced, as grotesque and wild and crazy as some of these things were, and I would not be what I am today. And I don't mean that to say I'm anything. What I mean to say is I'm happy with who I am now. And this is not about Todd. This is about the energy that's taking root in all of us. This is the hidden gem that I'm not seeing discussed in any platforms. They're talking about the virus, and they're talking about conspiracy, even light worker circles. They're talking about the election. They're talking about right or wrong, and they're good and they're not. And I'm not throwing rocks at them. What I'm saying is I want to talk about us. I want to talk about what we talked about at the beginning of this show. I want to hear more about how this relates to the body and how those things go up into the 12 and then and the flow and all that. I want to talk about the victories that we've had. I want to talk about the dimensional experiences we've had. I want to talk to David Icke about this. I want to say, do you know that there's a whole community, there's a whole world out there of people that are experiencing these things? This is where they stand. I really think we've underestimated how many people are awake, because it's only the sanctimonious, stupid ass in us that thinks others aren't. It's our superiority, and it's really, really time to understand that we all put our socks on at the same time. I mean, at the same way, and we are the story. And that's my focus in 2021, is to expand the energy of what I just said through this platform and its variants, through their personal expressions, and I really believe that's where we're headed.
I couldn't agree more.
I just got possessed.
Yeah. I think, Todd, lightheartedness, and I say this a lot, is the key. Lightheartedness is the key. Levity is the opposite of gravity. Gravity to me means seriousness. Yeah. I think that even in the spiritual communities, I see a lot of spiritual freed brows and furrowed brows, and to me is where the people are trying to still work it out from an ego point of view. How do I know? Because I spent years and years in that point trying to work everything out. And people around me who are a bit further along the path were saying, will you just let go? And I didn't have a clue what they were talking about until it gets so painful and I hit a rock bottom that I had to surrender and say, I haven't got a clue what it's about. Because up to that point, it was, I know. And where I'm up to now is I'm hardly got a clue what's going on. And I'm not just saying that. I really mean it. I have to wait until it comes up from my soul. It inhabits my head. And I see a picture or a vision, or I get some thoughts or whatever. And then I think, oh, okay, you want me to do that? Why didn't you say so? And it almost seems to come up. The other thing that came to me, right, is when you let go totally, and this is my experiences, you don't have to go chasing anything. You can have such confidence that it will emerge right at the right time. That's what effortless effort is. It means that the information will come at the time when it's ready, and then you have to act upon it. And if you're in fight or flight, to me, that's being in the fight. That's emotional reactivity. So this is not about reaction. It's about action, inspired action, based upon the information received that emerges from the soul's consciousness. And I keep seeing all these geometrical figures as well, you know, and there's something called the vector equilibrium. And what I got was, Joe, at the center of the vector equilibrium, right, is the seat of consciousness, and it's where you sit and decide which direction you want to go in, right? Because the vector equilibrium, to me, it's like a location where you can choose then. Oh, Todd, you know, I have to sit down and think, look, now here we go again. But then I get this whole thing, this 3D thing, you know, and it's almost like being in the driving seat, like a bus terminus, deciding which direction you want to go in then for the information that's required in the moment in this 3D reality. Because whether we like it or not, this is where the work is getting done in this dense environment, you know. It's heavy, Todd. And in order to overcome the heaviness, lightheartedness is the key, because that will lift us out of the heaviness while we're still working in the heaviness. And then we can be good examples or models of good practice of staying calm in even the most chaotic of circumstances. Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry, boss.
Sorry, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I hear you. I really do, you know, and, you know, this explanation, or these explanations that you're giving, and people like you that include the physical body, like that to me is coming online, along with we're past the storm. We know who we are. Oh, you want to throw this in front of me or that in front of me, you know, F off, you know, I'm on the road. I'm on the soul highway. I'm in the 0 point field. I am soul. And so this is all kind of coming together. And I think you bring up some really important things, which is we don't need to know what the hell, we don't need to know all the details. It's a different form of listening. It's a different form of speaking. It's a different form of being and being active. It's a different sense of, it's a different set of senses, or a higher set of senses. So everything is being cleared out of the way. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I was trying to explain this space, this field of energy that's birthed through me, that is going to be, you know, it's got the reins in its hand, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be driving the horses. You know what I mean? I mean, so for me, I'm trying to, like, I don't have to understand everything, but I'm really, really sensitive to what it is, because I know what it's not. See, I know it's not Todd framing up the work and you got to do this. And I know it's not Todd engaging in frequencies that I've chosen to no longer engage. It's not personal, whether it's a person or an event or a group or whatever. I've chosen not to do it. Why? Because I want to spend more time with this new golden child energy that is at minimum an equal part of the triad that is Todd, which is masculine, feminine, golden child, right? I mean, I just see, what's that there's an old book, there's an old sports book from the 60s. It was called Run to Daylight. And that's what I see, run to daylight. We've been through all this other stuff. I know what it's like. I can choose to play in it if I want to, but I'm finding that there's very little of that. And And the most important thing to me is that I'm making the choice, and that I think I've made enough progress. And I'm not saying this about me. I'm saying this about what must be available in the collective. Is I'm making these choices with me. With, when I say me, where no one else is involved, with my habits, with my schedule, with my diet, with whatever it is. I'm actually having these conversations, and I'm saying, you know what? Almost like I'm a different person talking to a different person and going, I don't want to play with that anymore. I don't want to engage that anymore. Or I do, and I admit it. I want to do this. I want to eat cheeseburgers. I'm going to stop battling. I'm just going to eat the fucking cheeseburger, and I'm going to love the energy as I ingest it. So whatever it is now, it's not involving, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not involving other people. They were like the preparation for me to get to this level of dialogue with myself. And I know that's a lot of words and a lot of literal interpretation, but I'm really describing this energy that's new to me. That is, I think I'm pretty certain is the golden child energy that has been fully activated in my field to complement and to co-create with the masculine and feminine equal parts of me as well.
I agree. I think because we're plugged in quite strongly now to this soul's guidance, we can do what the fuck we please, because that's where the motivation and the guidance is coming from. So if the child wants a cheeseburger, who is anybody else to say that it's wrong? Because all they're doing is applying their standards onto you. Now, it's our problem if we listen to that. If we give away our guidance from within to take on board some external information, isn't that what's got us into this shit in the first place? That's not being true to ourselves, is it? And I think that myself is this soul, this golden child that's coming up stronger and stronger all the time. People can't tell me what to do. They can make suggestions, but in the end, Todd, if I'll take what they say, because I could be wrong, I'm not perfect. I take what they say. I have an initial fuck off and get out of my face, but then I think, hang on, no, stick it in here, see what it feels like.
That's perfectly all right.
Yeah, sometimes it feels more right than my thinking. You see, and I have to go, oh, fair enough then. That's okay. I'll give that a try now. But it's almost like I have to wake up with a clear, clean mind every single day, a blank page, as though what went on yesterday is of no consequence to what's going to happen today. But what's going to happen in the future, nothing to do with you. Your job is to stay focused, find something that you're enthusiastic about, and allow yourself to do that to the best of your ability. And then the next day, do the same thing again. Yeah. And people are fond of saying living in this now moment, and I think phrases get on my nerves as well, because once I've heard it a few times, I think, oh God, everybody's saying it now, think of something new to say. And what I'm learning is, believe it or not, right, is the least to say, the better it is, right?
Absolutely.
But, I'm finding that difficult, but in the day, most of the time, I'm quite quiet and reflecting most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a byproduct of growing up. For me, it's been, hey, I want to run this by you because of your knowledge. And this was 10 days ago. So we laid down to do our thing, and she started pulling in very specific information. And so this would have been in the middle of that 12/12 to 12/21 period. So she was shown a little doorway at the base of the skull where the skull meets the spine. Now that she had to go look this up the next day, right? She didn't know what the name of it was. They showed her the name, but she couldn't pronounce it. So she was told that the little doorway had been blocked and now was currently opening. They said that the area was much like a hymen, that once it had been once it had been open, it would remain open. Now I had heard about this, and now while I was listening to her, I remember two things. One, I remember doing a couple of shows, and somebody was talking about how this area was the connection, like if you want to say physical, where the physical meets the non-physical, the connection to like the direct connection, right? And then the other thing that I was thinking when she was doing this was I've had this whole evolution of this whole journey for 8-9 years in that area, like in the upper, from the neck up, right? And a lot of movement, a lot of adjustments, alignment, and to the point where it's actually almost like fully limber, right? As she's saying this. So it said that that it would fully activate the Ark of the Covenant. Okay. And by the way, this thing is called the medulla oblongata. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, which she found out the next day. So it would make our access to universal intelligence far greater than it has ever been. And this was the doorway to just what I said, the cosmic energy. And that the activation would align the human with the avatar self and that of the light body. And because of that, the light body becomes the main transmitter, that we were no longer aligned with the false power of the patriarchal system. I guess to me, that would mean like the belief in the physical body being the end-all, cure-all. So then she said, I did some research. I found out it's called the medulla oblongata, also known as the golden chalice. Now, when she was saying it that night, I told her, I said, because she said the Ark of Covenant, she goes, I can't say the other thing. I said it's the golden chalice. I don't know how that came out, but I guess because of our connection. So the information was very distinct and clear. Let's see. I think that's basically what I wanted to. Let's see. Yeah, the rest of it she talked about. It's kind of the aftermath. So the medulla oblongata, the golden chalice. I know there's a couple of the names people on this show named it or called it, but this really, really feels accurate. And again, this isn't about Morgan Lee or Todd or Joe. This is about somebody like all of us that has a certain specificity in their role that pulls down this very accurate sacred wisdom and the mechanics of what's happening. So this is available to everyone, or it's happening, or whatever you want to call it. But what do you know about the medulla oblongata and whatever thoughts you have on what I just read to you?
Yeah, I think it's to do with, the way I see it is, this is the brainstem. What I was getting is there's an area down there called the arbor vitae as well, which is the Latin for the tree of life, right? But also, as you were saying, I got that it's all about light. It's about the see, at the back of the head here, this is called the occiput, and this is where the visual cortex is. This is where all the light travels from externally, right? What happens is the photons hit our retina. It's changed into electrical energy that goes down our optic nerves, and it gathers in the back here, right? And then depending on our perceptions, believe it or not, the information will either go to our right hemisphere or our left hemisphere, okay? Based upon our childhood coping strategies, in fear, we will default to only one. I'm just going to keep going on this, right? Mm-hmm. So that in fear, we become very, very one-sided people. Okay, yeah. So if you're a right brain processor living with a left brain processor, in fear or in arguments, you'll neither be able to see eye to eye. You won't be able to, you'll argue all the time and see different points of view. Does that make sense? So yeah. I think what I'm getting as well is, generally in the whole population of the globe, the sheaths, if you like, or the veils are thinning now between the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and this is the land of milk and honey. The land of milk and honey, yeah. And apparently the golden light is coming down from the. It's all. I think it's called chrism. I think it's like, Todd. It's so complex, this, but really quite simple.
No, this is. I'm with you on this. In fact, in fact, what you were talking about from the point of the photons going in, this is what the David Icke video I was referring to, this is what he talked about. He talked about the mechanics, like you were talking about, of how it actually works. My question, one of my questions that I was formulating, through watching that video, when I have these conversations in my head before I actually have it with them, but also for you, my first thought, and I'm going to tell you why. So gradually, and we've talked about this, gradually there's been, what would you call it? Glitches, stuff that's appeared that's beyond the pre-existing visible light spectrum. I had a fire ceremony a few days ago by myself down here. There was definitely some stuff going on that was not of the third eye, that was physical eyes, and I'm talking elementals, and I'm talking other stuff, right? And what I've also noticed, like this month, is a lot of, or more of what I'm experiencing doesn't have form. It is light, particularly golden light, which has always been big since I reawoke 9 years ago. So my question, what I was wondering was, now that you've explained that, right? And of course, this is all kind of related to that 12 cranial and all the different things that you've actually brought up. And because it's kind of like, God, we started this, and you said, go in and let's go to the projector, right? So this is the projector, right? So as I understand it scientifically from what you and David Icke explained, so my question is, if this is the projector, and this is how it works, we take it in and all that, are we going to be seeing beyond what is now the typical visible light spectrum?
Yeah. Todd, this is all the stuff that's coming to me, because I get the 12 octaves. What I get is there's a visible light range, and then down here we've got infrared, and up here we've got ultraviolet. That our abilities are expanding past those now, and we're starting to pick up light or electromagnetic frequencies, right, that haven't been perceptible to us before. But because we're becoming more and more sensitive to these things, our radar is expanding, and as our radar expands, we sort of gain access then to new energy, new refined information. So our consciousness is expanding. We have to make room for limitless expansion now by relaxing and letting go, right? Our consciousness is expanding because we're trusting more. Our vision is expanding. We're coming wider and wiser at the same time. See all this stuff that's coming out now. So that's not only that, Todd, but our other senses are going to change as well, because from a clairaudience point of view now, we're going into infrasonic and ultrasonic rays now. So everything's widening. So all these clairs, as they call them, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, all those things now, if we get out of the way and surrender, will come online very, very quickly now. Todd, this is so important, this next thing. It's all about breathing and unrestrained breathing. Where the human being has been conditioned into restrained breathing, we have to let that go out now by primal screaming, by singing at the top of our voices, by expanding our hearts and letting our hearts sing. It's all these things, because the soul is trying to burst out now and sing its own song, be its own instrument. So we all have a specific instrument in this great orchestra that will produce a harmony, right? And we've been waiting for this because we've been belted down. No, they didn't do it to us. Our naivety and our misunderstanding and our desires and our childishness has caused us to be so compressed and sort of misdirected away from what it's really about. All those shackles are being released now by playing out and by allowing the breath to breathe us. Let me just say this final thing. It's so important, or I found it really important. Angustia means a tightening or a narrowing of the throat. And it's the root cause, it's the root thing of anxiety. And when we're anxious, we tighten our throat, and our laryngeal and our pharyngeal nerves, right, they actually cause our throat muscles to tighten. There's a physiological process for this. It's to tighten the windpipe, to keep the oxygen in the lungs under pressure so that it can be fed to our muscles in case we need to fight or flight. So that's the whole purpose of the throat tightening. However, if we're in a situation of fear for a long time, the body thinks we're in training, so it stays tight then. So then we're more restricted then. This is all this thing about masks and stuff like that. We're restricted then from breathing fully, right, or allowing the breath to breathe us fully. I would say to all our listeners here is, just please try and become aware of your throat. And then if you feel yourself blocking down for any reason, that's because there's an unconscious, mostly unconscious, perceptual threat. Yeah. And if you can become aware of your throat and step back and then take a big deep breath and breathe it away, then the soul will be able to get back online and inspire us. Inspire means breathe in. Inspire us then to take the action that's needed at that moment in time. Bloody hell. There you go.
Very good. And thank you, Warren Manseth. Seen you around over the years. Thank you for providing all these links to Ascension Glossary, Lisa Renee's Ascension Glossary, energeticsynthesis.com. Yeah, I totally am digging what we're talking about and what Warren's putting up, and somebody else put something else up in regard to that thing I can't say. But I really like where you pulled this together with what's going on with the throat, because again, I hear the energy more than I hear the words, and I know exactly what you're saying from an energetic standpoint. And here's a great thing too, before I say that. One of the reasons, in my opinion, one of the reasons we will be able to see beyond the current visible light spectrum is because we're not attached. Therefore, we have a more relaxed field of energy ourselves, which is more open and more congruent with things beyond the visible light spectrum. And part of the reason for that is it doesn't fucking matter how it happened. We don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. It's either a circumstance or a consequence. We could give a shit why it's happening, why it happened, how it happened, the story and the narratives, because it's nothing compared to what we've discovered about ourselves. So full circle, and you started to talk about this thing with the throat, and I don't know all the terms, but I get the energy of it. So, and you're right, it's mostly unconscious, and everybody's been affected by it. There's been a perpetual state of constriction, which I can get from what you're saying. This symptom is directly associated to the effect that it has on the breathing, on the lungs, which then affects everything else, right? I mean, it's all connected. So I think that's important. That's one of the little gems that I look for every day, which is, how can we do this? What can I do at a conscious level? What habit can I create? And the thing is, it may not last forever, but it's going to get me to where I need to get. If I look at what you just laid down on us, and I look at it just for myself, I'm not even considering anyone else. I'm saying to myself, I want to, and I feel like that relaxation that we talked about at the top of the show, which is all related, because if I'm relaxed, I'm not going to have that issue, right? But what I'm saying is that if I want to perpetuate a more relaxed state, these types of exercises and such, these methods, which are really not that many when you think about it. I mean, how many ways is there to properly breathe? How many ways is there to be conscious of your breath? I know I had my first 2 Kundalini experiences in my mid-20s, and it was directly related to the breathing exercises that I still do from time to time with more awareness today. But so anyway, how do we perpetuate? How do we change the direction? How do we transform? That's it. How do we transform the constricted muscles to a relaxed state? Like, that is gold. It really is, because that takes care of the physiology, which is connected to the energy. And here we go, like Morgan wrote about, that the light body is now, like, to me, like what you're saying, to reach this state of to reach a high enough state, to be in the high enough percentile of relaxation, is going to further allow that light body to access my physical body and to be able to help it thrive, heal, grow younger, and expand in all the right places.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think we've got to thank Lucifer a lot for this as well, because Lucifer, as you know, means carrier of the light.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in an ironic, upside down sort of a way, it's all part of a great plan that we get into this density to find the light, right, that's within us, and then allow that light to guide us through out of the dark. And I really see that and feel that symbolically, you know. I mean, I've loved every moment of this. I mean, it's what I love. It's what I'm passionate about.
I know you are.
And it is about the light body, the soul, the car, whatever you want to call this, you know, the Merkaba or Merkaba. It's that now that's guiding us if we get out of the way and relax physically. And we can do that through Hatha yoga. We can do it through Tai Chi. These are all techniques to realign our light body, right, which is guiding us, with our physical body. And the physical body will have all the obstructions, the old tensions. They're the things that we need to let go of, because they're representative of the blocks that have been caused by fear and pride from eons, not just personally, but also right down our ancestral lines as well. So it's almost as if the light body's coming in to kick out the shit, right, that's accumulated over thousands upon thousands of years. And the whole point about it is the light body and breathing are intricately connected. Yes. So it's the out breath, it's the expression of the soul's light that will kick away the stuff, so that we can always break free and go forward. There we are, Todd.
Yeah, that's good. But and you know, I know this stuff can get, because I remember you talked to me about this 2 years ago, you know, and I didn't have the understanding I have today. But it, again, for me, it's an energetic comprehension, not a book, you know, type of comprehension. But so, you know, we can get lost in the semantics and in the nomenclature we use and whatever. But I know that this breath, you know, which is life, is directly connected. It's like another portal or channel to the other parts of me. And I'm just going to say light body at this point, because I've seen, you know, Morgan and I, we've seen the light body and what it can do right before our eyes, you know, cosmic copulation. I mean, that's like, you know, you don't even have to go out for the movies, you know what I mean? And so there's all this incredible stuff that, you know, we think about the veils being lifted. Oh my God, is there a secret space? Do we have underground bases on Mars, and do we do this and do we do that? Man, to me, the unveiling is like, that's mind blowing. It's mind blowing to say, hey, we watched our light bodies come out and they made love in front of us, you know. And then one time her masculine came out and my feminine came out and they made love in front of us. That's nothing. That's almost trivial. Not to take anything away from it. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about having the light body fully on, fully activated. And does that mean we step out of the physical body like we do with an out-of-body experience or near-death experience, or when we transition? I don't think so. I think this is actually a dance, an integration where they're one and the same. And what the hell, like we think we're going to be shocked because we find out the true history of the earth. I don't think that's the fucking deal here. I think we're going to be shocked by what we actually are,
Yeah.
and what we are capable of. And because of our lineage that we've all shared, both galactically and on the earth, we know the type of responsibility that comes with this power. And we can talk about Atlantis, and we can talk about Lemuria, we can talk about Egypt, we can talk about Sumeria, we can talk about galactic wars. Hey, all that stuff is Akashic records and code, no different than the traumas in our personal experiences and anything else that we can obtain from the Akashic, from the infinite morphic field. Bottom line is, we are the creators. We absolutely are both. We are creator and co-creator. And we are creation and we are co-creation. And there's no one going to do it for us. We are the God, goddess. And this information is all part of our schooling. And I just want to restate that there's a huge responsibility that comes with this, being awake is not a fad. Being awake is being the king, queen, golden child energy, and being being a 100% heart aligned, intended, energetic force, the Immaculate Conception, duplicating what created ourselves.
Spiritualization of the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're going through. If we can just surrender to win, and relax and smile and find joy and breathe joy and be joy, because lightheartedness is the key.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, man. So when are we going to meet your wife?
Oh, she's very choosy, my wife.
Well, I noticed she will take a picture though. I saw that.
Well, she's no, but she's my wife is not really interested in human beings. She's just interested.
I don't blame her.
In plants and animals, that's her. There's no doubt about it. That's her gift. That's her energy. She has a supreme, intense passion about helping animals, of all sorts of animals, particularly cats, right? Yeah. But also plants as well. So I mean that's her soul's purpose.
Yeah, I got you.
So she finds the energy of people, difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And
I'm just going to give you a hard time until she shows up. I have to go knock on your door at some point. I just want to thank everybody for all these wonderful comments. I don't know what's going on. I try to explain things. Obviously, energetically is the perception that's formulating. My consciousness is becoming, and I think this is for everybody. And what I'm getting at is, we haven't done a lot of shows this month, which is very rare. But this is the only show we're doing in a 4-day period. And there's no coincidences. What I'm noticing is not just from the person that I'm collaborating with, but also with what's happening in the field that's represented by the comments that people make on the different platforms that we're on, because I can see all the comments here. There's something happening. There's bigger is not always better. Less is more. There's something going on with the energetic field too, which would make sense, right? I mean, if you think about it, and you're gonna, what did Abe Lincoln used to say? If you have 6 hours to chop a tree down, sharpen your axe for 4 and chop for 2, right? And so, I guess what I'm saying is there's more. If you're constricted, you're going to be hitting it hard, right? If you're relaxed, you're going to have nice, smooth, actions that are going to conserve and utilize the full potential of your energy. And I guess that's what I'm feeling and I'm seeing. That's what this experience today has been like. I would love to have, cut up a little bit, and I guess we did a little bit of that, but it's always a pleasure. I guess I'll see you in 2021, Dr. Joe.
Hopefully, mate. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. My regards to your good lady, and Morgan as well. And and have a great time, mate, and a very, very happy Christmas or happy holidays or whatever we call it, and I hope you have, well, you will. I think 2021 is going to be phenomenal, and I really have a real sense of hope. Yeah. I have a sense of hope because sometimes I don't, Yeah. But recently I've felt this more opening more and more. So I think 2021 is going to be fantastic if we can just get out of the way and allow it to happen, because it's not something outside of us that's allowing it. It's us anyway.
That's right.
But, because we are everything. I believe that.
That's right.
But in the 3D bit, when Joe's talking, I still rely on being guided by that thing that is me, that isn't me at the same time, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
So God bless you, mate, and keep smiling. That's the order of the day. Doctor's orders.
All right.